Hey, what's up, y'all? It's Steve again, Old Man Reads. I'm going to call this series here Revisiting Narnia. I first got turned on to Narnia probably third or fourth grade, I'm guessing, when I was introduced to The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. I have not read, even to this day, all 7 books. I know I've read Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe a number of times. It's an all-time favorite of mine. I believe I've read The Horse and His Boy and Prince Caspian. I have seen, there's been multiple Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe movies. I've seen them all, loved them. I believe they did The Horse and His Boy and Prince Caspian as well. They might have done The Voyage of the Dawn Treader now that I think about it. But yeah, I hadn't read past those first few. Where I started this time was with The Magician's Nephew. Now it's changed order. So this was originally released as the 6th book between The Silver Chair and The Last Battle. And when I was growing up in the 80s, that's where it was in the series. If you bought the set, with all the books, this would be in the 6th spot. So I never got to it. And I debated back and forth whether I should read it in today's order or in the order that it was written in and that I grew up with. And honestly, I'm still kind of split on it. I love The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. I actually think that that's a perfect introduction for children, more so than this one. Although this is definitely a prequel to the entire series, and I get why it was moved to the beginning. However, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe is just one of those perfect books that really captured me in my imagination as a child in a way that I don't believe The Magician's Nephew would have, or will for your children, for that matter. Had I got my daughter to read these when she was younger, I probably would have started with The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. And I've seen quotes from C.S. Lewis where he was kind of ambivalent. He thought maybe it was a good idea to read it first because it's a prequel, but maybe it was a good idea to read it later on. Because it kind of gives away some stuff that you learn as you go in the original order, which I think is kind of nice to put off until later. But I always thought it was interesting that he wrote a prequel many books later, and it came down to a question. Somebody asked him why there was a light pole in Narnia, and he had no answer for it. And he said that's basically what led him to writing The Magician's Nephew. And I guess he started writing it shortly after The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, but it wasn't released until the 6th book. That said, I really enjoyed this. Like I said, I had never read this before. I wasn't sure what to expect. If you're familiar with this series and with Lewis, I mean, it's an obvious religious allegory. I can't remember. I always get him and Tolkien confused. I believe Lewis was the Anglican and Tolkien was a Catholic, but I may be reversing them. It's unimportant. Ultimately, the story is the same whether you're an Anglican or a Catholic, theologically. So that's not really an issue. But this is very much a Genesis story, which I really wasn't expecting and really kind of enjoyed. Not only do you have the creation of Narnia, you have the introduction of evil, and evil is there from the beginning with the queen who would become, or the witch who would later become the Snow Queen. And then you've got a Garden of Eden. It's a really fun story. It's a really cute story. I'm glad I finally read it. I'm curious what others think that have read it. I haven't read The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, or the first few books in at least pre-1989, because I started high school in 1990, and by that point I had moved on. I was reading, my reading was much different at that point in my life. I definitely wasn't reading C.S. Lewis. So I'm guessing it would have been probably 86 or 87 would have been the last time that I read it. However, as movies came out, there's been multiple Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe movies. I believe in the last 2 decades they've done The Horse and His Boy, Prince Caspian, and the Voyage of the Dawn Treader. And I remember watching, I vaguely remember them, but I remember watching them when they came out. But it's really cool to revisit this stuff. I mean, it's a short read, Each of the books is under 200 pages. Knock them out in a couple days. What I'm thinking, though, even though my daughter's a little older, I think I might read it with her, which will annoy her. But in the long run, I think she'll actually like it. But I'm curious what everybody's thoughts are. For those of you that have read the series, where you would place The Magician's Nephew. I'm curious if my thoughts will change as I read through the series again. But it was a lot of fun. I do recommend the book. If you grew up with Narnia and didn't read this one, it's a very cool prequel. And it was really enjoyable. So tell me what you guys think. I hope everybody's doing good. And I will see you soon. Take care, guys.